Before the blood stained the fields of Marathon red, there had been years of simmering tension between two civilizations, the mighty East and the rising West. King Darius I, ruler of an empire stretching from India to Egypt, was hailed as the King of Kings. Beneath his feet lay hundreds of nations, millions of slaves, and vast armies. Yet, one small city-state in the West robbed him of sleep: Athens. Athens had dared to do what no one in the world cowed by Persia had done: support the Ionian revolt. They sent ships, soldiers, and weapons to aid those who defied the Eastern king. The revolt was crushed, but Darius neither forgot nor forgave. He ordered a servant to remind him every day, "Master, remember the Athenians." That phrase became the spark that kept his fury alive. Darius swore he would not allow the Greeks, those barbarians who dared to argue, to remain beyond his control. In 490 BCE, Darius sent two generals, Datis and Artaphernes, leading a massive fleet of over 600 warships and some 25,000 men across the Aegean Sea. The Persian army was the finest of the East: archers from Media, long spearmen from Susa, cavalry swift as wind from Bactria, and warships like black serpents gliding across the sea. They burned the city of Eretria on their way, a message to Athens, "You are next." When the fleet landed on the plains of Marathon, they chose the perfect ground, flat, wide, and open toward the sea, a paradise for cavalry to run wild. Persian camps rose like a forest of iron bamboo. Banners fluttered, horses neighed, and the clashing of metal rang like thunder before a storm. The grim news reached Athens. Citizens gathered at the agora. There was no king, no lord, only a nation of ordinary people. Yet they understood: if Marathon fell, Athens would burn, and democracy would be buried alive. They sent a messenger, Phidippides, to Sparta for help. The soldier ran 240 kilometers in 2 days, only to hear a cold reply: "We are in the festival of Carneia. We cannot march before the full moon." No Sparta, no allies. Athens had barely 10,000 hoplites, citizen soldiers, and 1,000 from the small town of Plataea. But they had something Persia would never grasp: the will to be free. In the war council, some wanted to defend from within the city, others to wait for Sparta. But Miltiades, a general who had once lived within the Persian Empire, knew too well: if the Persians marched inland, Athens would be crushed like sand beneath iron hooves. He said, "If we do not leave our walls, we will die within them." Miltiades was granted command. He led his men to the plains of Marathon, an open, wind-swept land between forest and sea, where destiny waited. Two worlds now faced each other. On one side, the Empire of the East, ranks upon ranks of soldiers, armor gleaming, war horses snorting steam, archers ready to unleash a storm of arrows. On the other, Athens and Plataea, farmers, blacksmiths, teachers, merchants, now clad in bronze armor, gripping long spears and round shields. Between them stretched a mile of dry ground under the blazing sun. Sea winds carried the scent of iron and salt. No one spoke. Only torn banners fluttered and hearts pounded like drums. Athens knew: if they lost, Athens would cease to exist. Persia knew: if they won, Greece would kneel. As dawn broke, thin mist drifted over Marathon. From the sea, the Persian fleet looked like a wall of black steel, glinting with bronze shields, silver bows, and the cold light of ambition. On the sandy ridge, the Athenians stood shoulder to shoulder, each hoplite gripping a great bronze shield like a door, spear points shining like a forest of steel thorns. Miltiades rode along the line. He spoke few words, only shouting, "Whoever holds the line today holds the freedom of Greece." The horns blared. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then the thunder of feet. Thousands ran, not marched, not advanced times, ran times straight at the enemy. It was a charge unseen before in Greek history. The mile between them vanished under pounding feet as the first Persian arrows fell like black rain. The Persian archers drew and loosed, times whiz, 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 times unending. Thousands of arrows darkened the sky, striking shields, ground, and flesh. Some hoplites fell, but the line did not break. Men from behind stepped forward to fill the gaps. Arrows bounced off bronze shields, times clang, clang. A drumbeat of defiance. Dust and sand flew under their charge. When only a few dozen paces remained, The Persians expected them to falter. They didn't. They sprinted faster. A wall of bronze men slammed into the thin Persian lines, tearing through their ranks. The clash of two worlds was a soundless explosion shield, smashing shield, spears thrusting through flesh, cries of agony, horses screaming, blades snapping. The earth trembled beneath their feet. The Persians, trained for ranged combat, were forced into brutal hand-to-hand, fighting chaos they were unprepared for. Their linen armor and wicker shields crumpled under the heavy bronze wall of Greek hoplites. Blow after blow, they gave ground. Yet at the center, thinner Athenian lines began to bend. The Persians pushed through the gap, shouting victory. Miltiades saw it. He signaled his flanks where he had placed his strongest men to close in. From both sides, the Athenians and Plataeans swept inward like iron wings. They didn't strike head-on but flanked the Persians, stabbing at their unarmored sides. The Persian archers panicked, no room to shoot. The cavalry couldn't charge, packed tight by Greek shields. Horses screamed, trampling their own men. Dust rose, blood sprayed, and screams were swallowed by chaos. Hundreds grappled in the dirt, shields locked, spears shattered, swords flashing. There was no formation, only survival. In the maelstrom, Miltiades roared to hold the line. He knew, if Athens broke, Persia would strike back. As the Greek wings met, the Persian army was trapped, crushed like grain in a giant millstone. With no escape, they trampled one another, their cries a sea of death. The Athenian center, once pushed back, turned and struck again. They drove forward as the wings closed, turning the Persian formation into a killing ground. For a moment, there was silence, then the roar of despair. The Persian line collapsed, command vanished. Survivors fled to the sea, where their ships waited. But the beach was narrow, the sand soft, and the Athenians did not stop. Every step of Marathon's sand was a corpse. The sea turned red. Persian banners fell. Exhausted, armor torn, faces smeared with blood, the Athenians pressed on to the water's edge. They cut off the retreat, seized some ships. Amid screams and panic, thousands of Persians drowned beneath Greek spears. According to Herodotus, 6,400 Persians died. Athens lost only 192. An incredible figure, yet it reflected the gulf of spirit and discipline. The field of Marathon lay buried in bodies, the air thick with iron and smoke. But to the surviving Athenians, that smell of blood and salt and ash was the scent of freedom enduring. Dusk settled over Marathon. The sun turned the sea crimson not with the glow of twilight, but with the reflection of blood from thousands of corpses. On the sand, broken spears jutted upward like thorns, bronze shields rolled in the tide, and the bodies of Persians and Greeks lay tangled together, enemies and brothers alike, silent and still. The surviving Athenians stood among them in silence. They had won, but there was no cheer, no triumph. The wind from the sea carried the groans and shallow breaths of the dying. It was said that no one slept that night. Some buried the fallen, others stood watch, eyes fixed on the dark horizon where the Persian fleet still waited. When the sun finally disappeared, Miltiades ordered a burial mound for those who had fallen. In time, the Greeks would call it times the tumulus of the Athenians, times a hill of remembrance that still stands to this day. Under the veil of night, Persian generals Datis and Artaphernes gathered their remaining ships, more than 200, and sailed around Cape Saunion. Their goal was the dream of Darius himself, to strike directly at Athens, now nearly undefended, its army still far away on the plains of Marathon. News reached Miltiades within hours. If the Persians reached Athens first, the victory at Marathon would mean nothing, the city would burn, and democracy would die. And so began the legendary times run of Marathon *. The tale says that as the Persian fleet sailed away, Miltiades sent a soldier named Defied to Athens to announce victory and warn the citizens to prepare for defense. He set off into the night, no horse, no rest, only his legs, his will, and a heart hammering to bursting. He ran through forests and over rocky hills for 40 kilometers, each breath like a blade in his chest, torchlight flickering, knees bleeding. When he reached the gates of Athens, he gasped his final words. ****, nenikeikamen, we have won. ****. And with that, he fell dead, carrying victory in his last breath. His name was etched into history. 2.5 millennia later, humankind would name its 42-kilometer race the Marathon in honor of that soldier's final run. The next morning, as Persian ships appeared off the coast of Athens, they saw what they had not expected. The entire Athenian army stood ready. They had run through the night carrying weapons, armor, and their belief, and now lined the shore, shields gleaming in the sunlight. The Persians, who thought Athens empty, faced a wall of men unbroken by exhaustion. Datis hesitated. He knew that if they landed, they would be cut down as they disembarked a replay of the horror at Marathon. He ordered retreat. The Persian fleet vanished beyond the horizon, leaving behind blood-stained men with radiant smiles. Athens celebrated not the slaughter, but survival. A small people, without a king, without an empire, without cavalry, only citizens and courage had defeated the mightiest power on earth. From Marathon, the Athenians discovered their own strength. No longer would they bow to Eastern tyrants or doubt the worth of their democracy. The times spirit of Marathon times the belief that free citizens could defend their own freedom became the soul of Greece. Miltiades, hero of that day, was honored, though later he would meet a bitter fate after a failed campaign. Yet his name endures beside Marathon, a symbol of genius and valor. The Battle of Marathon did more than save Athens, it shaped the West. Had Persia triumphed, Greece might never have developed democracy, philosophy, or art, the roots of European civilization. Herodotus wrote that after Marathon, the Greeks began to believe that free men could overcome any tyranny. That faith would fuel their later victories at Salamis and Plataea, driving Persia from Greece forever. As night falls again on the plains of Marathon, the sea wind still whispers over the burial mound where 192 Athenians rest. The Greeks say that when the wind howls, it is the voices of the hoplites telling their tale of glory. And that tale, more than 2,000 years later, still resounds as a hymn of humanity. That an army of citizens, fighting for freedom, could defeat an empire that seemed invincible. It was not merely Athens' triumph. It was the first victory of liberty over tyranny, of intellect over might, and of human will over fate. The Battle of Marathon was not just a victory, it was a turning point in the art of war itself. Before it, warfare was ruled by numbers and power. Persia was proof of that, a colossus that conquered by sheer mass and endless armies. Miltiades defied that rule. He used strategy times, instead of brute strength. His plan was no accident, but a masterstroke of calculation. He thinned his center to lure the Persians in, while strengthening both flanks to close around them, a deadly pincer that crushed the enemy. It was one of the earliest recorded examples of a double envelopment, centuries before Hannibal's famous tactic at Cannae. Miltiades understood better than anyone that discipline and unity mattered more than numbers. Each hoplite in the phalanx times was part of a single living machine. If one man fell, another closed ranks and raised his shield. It was the strategy of a community of people fighting for one another, not for a king. The Greeks later spoke of the times Marathonian Pneuma, times the spirit of Marathon. Not just because they won, but because of how times they won. The soldiers of Athens were not mercenaries. They were blacksmiths, farmers, scholars, ordinary men who fought because they believed no one else would. They fought not for conquest, but to defend a way of life, freedom to speak, to decide, to argue in the agora, things Persia's despotism could never understand. When they charged through the rain of arrows, they thought not of kings, but of Athens, the city where their children would grow. And that belief made them stronger than any army of slaves or hirelings. Thus, Marathon became not merely a battle, but the beginning of a Western idea that people could shape their own destiny. After Marathon, Athens entered its golden age. Confidence from victory made it the heart of Greece, the cradle of philosophy, art, and democracy. Without Marathon, there might have been no Pericles, no Socrates, no Plato or Aristotle, and perhaps no ancient Greece as we know it. Marathon also left lessons in strategy that endured for millennia. Speed and initiative can neutralize the enemy's long-range advantage. Organization and discipline outweigh chaotic numbers. And above all, war is a contest of minds, not of weapons. From Alexander the Great to Napoleon, generals studied Marathon as proof of that principle. 2,000 years later, Marathon lives not just in history books, but in every long-distance race. Each runner who completes 42.195 kilometers, whether they think of Darius or Miltiades or not, retraces Pheidippides' path, a run of faith and sacrifice. Marathon became a symbol of human endurance, of the belief that while the body may fall, the spirit does not. The plains of Marathon today are quiet, only wind and grass, but every grain of sand there once drank the blood of a struggle between two ideas, tyranny and freedom. The Greeks did not just save a city, they saved the future of human thought. Looking back, Herodotus wrote, "On that day, few men died, but the world changed." And indeed, it did. From the clash of swords on Marathon's field rose an invisible declaration that humankind can write its own history. The Battle of Marathon has become legend, but like all legends, it is woven from both truth and shadow. 2,000 years have passed, and historians, archaeologists, and military scholars still argue endlessly what times happened on that field. Below are the great mysteries that continue to ignite debate among modern scholars. The tale of the soldier Pheidippides, running from Marathon to Athens, shouting, "Neni kekamen," we have won, before dying, has become immortal. But intriguingly, Herodotus, the historian closest to the event, never mentioned it. In his Times History's asterisk, he only wrote that Pheidippides was sent from Athens to Sparta, about 240 kilometers before the battle, to request reinforcements. The famous Marathon to Athens run appeared centuries later in Roman sources. It seems likely that the legend blended two real events. The Athens-Sparta run which truly occurred, a feat of astonishing endurance. The Marathon Athens run added later as a poetic symbol of victory. Even so, the image was too powerful to fade. Whether Pheidippides was a real man or a myth, he came to represent the human will, breaking beyond its limits, a meaning far greater than the history itself. One of the greatest questions for modern military historians is, where was the Persian cavalry during the Battle of Marathon? Persia's armies were renowned for their cavalry. The plains of Marathon, flat and wide, were perfect terrain for horsemen. Yet Herodotus, our main source, barely mentions them during the fight. There are three main theories. 1. The cavalry had not yet landed. Miltiades may have attacked while much of the Persian cavalry was still aboard ships or unloading horses. Many scholars support this, suggesting the Athenian general struck precisely when his enemies were least prepared. 2. The cavalry was detached to threaten Athens. Some believe the Persians sent part of their horsemen around the peninsula to attack Athens directly, weakening their main force at Marathon. 3. The cavalry was trapped by marshland. The coastal terrain near Marathon included swampy areas where horses could lose footing and mobility, a disaster for cavalry. The Greeks, fighting on foot, may have exploited this. Whatever the truth, the absence of Persian cavalry proved decisive. It robbed Persia of its greatest advantage and gave Miltiades the opening to strike a moment of timing and nerve, as sharp as the steel of his men's spears. Herodotus wrote that, Persian losses, 6,400. Athenian and Plataean losses, 192. The ratio seems extraordinary, so much that many scholars suspect exaggeration. Modern historians argue the numbers were likely inflated to glorify Athens' victory. Yet, even if the real gap was smaller, one fact stands firm. Persia was utterly defeated. Archaeological evidence from Marathon spearheads, fragments of armor, bronze helmets, and human remains confirms the scale and violence of the battle. The phalanx was a wall of heavy hoplites moving as one. Each soldier shielded himself and part of his comrade with a massive round shield. Advancing together, they became a single living block of bronze and will. At Marathon, the phalanx proved devastating because Persian troops wore light armor, wielding bows and javelins useless against Greek bronze shields. In close combat, hoplites had superior reach, protection, and weight. The level terrain allowed the formation to move firmly without breaking. Miltiades used the phalanx not only as a weapon but as a symbol of unity, a political and social statement. Each man depended on the one beside him, each shield protected another life. The formation mirrored the structure of Athenian democracy itself, individual strength bound together in collective purpose. Today, if you visit the plains of Marathon, about 40 kilometers from Athens, you can still see the tumulus, the burial mound about 10 meters high, where the 192 Athenian warriors rest together. The Marathon Museum, displaying bronze helmets, broken spears, shield fragments, and pottery painted with scenes of the battle. The marshes and lowlands, remnants of the ancient terrain where the clash unfolded. Excavations since the 20th century confirm that Herodotus did not invent the tale. The battle truly happened, and its scale and impact were as immense as legend claims, though time has blurred some of the details. By the 19th century, as Europe rediscovered its classical roots, Marathon times became a symbol of courage and endurance. In 1896, the first modern Olympic Games, held in Athens, introduced the marathon race 40 kilometers to honor that ancient run. Since then, marathon has ceased to be merely a place. It has become a universal test of spirit. Runners race not to defeat others, but to prove, as Athens once did, that humanity can triumph over its own limits. The Battle of Marathon stands at the crossroads of fact and myth, steel and soul. On one hand, it was a measurable military triumph, a masterpiece of tactics. On the other, it endures as an eternal symbol of free men, standing before tyranny and daring to say, no, If Herodotus is the father of history, then Marathon is the birthplace of historical memory, the moment humanity began recording war, not as the act of gods, but as the story of men.